Sylvia, and this is my awakening story. So, I woke up in 2015, but in looking back, I've noticed that my soul has been trying to wake me up for years before that because I have always had this interest in like tarot cards, in astrology. I mean, I remember even being a teenager and looking up my horoscope, things like that. So I had an affinity for it. It was something that was always part of me, but I never really delved into it fully. Like I would just dip a toe in and then run back out. And like it was too much. Like I think I was just assimilating or growing a taste for it, so to speak, because I was so mesmerized or so bombarded by the 3D that I was really under that spell and I ignored it. So because I've seen looking back timelines and like times that I could have woken up, like really big traumatic events occurred in my life where I had the choice to wake up and I chose to stay asleep. In hindsight, of course, at the time I didn't know. So what as I see the events that unfolded, I kind of see how spirit, my higher self, God, turned up the volume, turned up the heat. Like, oh, she's not responding. She needs it harder. She needs it bigger. She needs it, the baseball bat to the forehead theory that if you're not willing to wake up, then you need to sound louder, something more jolting that you cannot deny to wake you up. So my soul needed that. And that's exactly what I got. So the really interesting thing was that paranormal things had happened to me my whole life, and they would freak me out, but I didn't really know what they were. Being growing up Catholic in a Catholic family, I went to catechism, I had that whole thing. But at a very young age, because you're little when you go to catechism, you're about 8 years old. And I remember knowing that something was wrong, something was off. There's a lot of beautiful things about the religion that I love. I love the romance of it, the tradition of it. But there were other things that didn't sit well with my soul. And it was very weird being that little, not knowing a lot because you're young, not having a lot of life experience, but my soul knew this isn't jiving with what my soul knows, kind of like I remember questioning as a child and telling my dad, God is not in that building on a Sunday. God is everywhere. God is at the park. God is in my backyard playing with my dog. God is with me when I go to sleep. So I remember being very perplexed and confused at what dogma was being slung at me, and it wasn't making sense spiritually. So I would ask the grown-ups around me, and they didn't have an answer. I'll be quiet, they'd throw some "go play" or one of those. But I'm sure I was opening their minds, like, well, I'm sure I made them think too, because here's an 8-year-old telling a 40-year-old man something so profound, and they fall into, nope, the training says, the Bible says, the preacher says, the priest says, whatever. And so you tell that voice to shut up inside of you, and nope, don't question it, keep your head down, fall in line, just do what you're told. Don't think for yourself, don't question anything, just shut up and go back to being a zombie and just robot your way through life. So essentially I would question that as a very young child. I also wanted to know, why can't priests get married? And I had friends in school that were getting molested by priests in the Catholic Church. So I remember thinking, that's not heavenly, that's not good, that's scary. They were like going through real trauma. So I'm thinking, like, I was being shown the dichotomy of the illusion of what it is versus what it really was. Like the glittery wrapping paper around a present with a pile of poop inside of it. Like, that's not a good present. So as a young child, I was like, noticing that's not adding up, that doesn't make sense. And being so little, but not knowing how to articulate it, or how to make sense of it in my mind. Or when I would go to my parents or other elders, they couldn't answer my questions either. My questions were too big for even them. So that was something that was happening. I had a lot of paranormal experiences where I've had, we say one thing, but in reality, sometimes you're not ready for it. Like, I hear a lot of people say, oh, I want my powers, I want my abilities, I want to, I want to be psychic, I want to know, I want to channel, I want to be a medium. It sounds cool. You can't turn it off when you have it. So do you really want it? It's like, be careful what you wish for. So I remember always saying that because I would hear cool stories or watch a movie of something cool, that I admired, for the glitz and glamour part of it, but I wasn't really thinking out the whole thing, like, of what does it really mean to have those abilities in a practical, everyday life way. So my first, I had a few tastes of it, and I completely freaked out. Throughout my life, I remember there were several times, episodes, where I would go to bed at night and I would be alone in the bed. It was always when I was alone. And something came and I would hear voices whispering. I couldn't make out what they were saying, but it was loud. I could hear, like, it sounded like a group of people talking, to the point where I thought, because I'm a very light sleeper, so I would get up and say, what the heck are the neighbors doing? Or are the kids awake? Or, like, who's making that racket? Like, be quiet. So I would get up out of my warm bed and go investigate. I would look outside, I would look out the window, I'd open the front door, I'd go look in the bedrooms, they'd be asleep, so it wasn't them. Who was it? And I would hear that. And then, that wasn't the creepy part, that was just like, what's that? But the creepy part was when I would feel someone come to my bed and sit on my bed, and I felt the weight of the mattress sink down. You can't deny that. Like, what the heck is that? Like that, that clenched feeling in your belly where you're like, oh, what's that? Tell me that's the cat. It wasn't the cat. And I would immediately tense up and freak out. I mean, I hadn't even investigated, who are you? What do you want? I couldn't find the bravery within me, the courage to even ask. I just would panic, freeze, nope, go away, leave me alone, go into the light, or whatever phrase I had heard on TV or in a movie. And it would immediately subside and it would leave me alone. And now I think, dang it, like, what an opportunity. Like, why didn't you ask? Like, that could have been your grandma. That could have been an angel. And you're always asking to see stuff. And now you got this gift and you're just like, no. And that happened to me many times, many times. And every time I wasn't ready, I would freak out. I would say, get out of my room, leave me alone. And I would just start freaking out. Nothing bad had even happened. But I was like, no, like, too much. So they would say, oh, okay, guys, let's go. She can't handle it. She's not ready. So that would happen. And I remember as a child having a lot of spiritual entities attacking me. And I didn't know what it was because I was too little to articulate or make sense of it in my mind. I didn't have the words for it. I just knew that it was something bad trying to hurt me, but I didn't have the words for it. So my parents thought it was night terrors. It wasn't night terrors because I wasn't asleep. I was awake. So I was as young as 3, 4, 5. It went on for years. And I would be at the top bunk. My sister and I shared a room. She's 2 years younger than me. So she was about 1, 2, 3. We were babies. We were little. We were under 5. And for years. And I'm now, in hindsight, it's probably that this apartment, we were in a really bad neighborhood. My parents didn't make a lot of money, and we were in a really bad part of town in Chicago. And I'm wondering if the apartment was haunted. because I had a lot of paranormal experiences there, but I was a baby. I didn't know what was happening. And I would tell my mom, it's a monster, it's The Exorcist, because I had seen my parents see the movie. And I, when I saw the movie, I thought, that's it. That's the thing that pushes me off my bed. It's her. And I would see her standing in the living room in the dark, and she would come to me. I mean, it wasn't her, but in my mind, I guess I put that label on it because I didn't know what it was. I just knew it was dark. It was a dark energy, and it was malevolent, and it was hurting me. It would push me off the bunk bed. I would bite my tongue and bleed. I would wet my bed because I was so scared to get up and go to the bathroom, because I knew that thing was in the living room or it was in my bedroom standing there waiting for me. And I thought, no way, I'm not going out there. So I would tell my parents, and then I would get spanked. Spanked for jumping off my bunk bed. Who the hell is going to want to jump off their bunk bed in pitch black dark? Nobody. And I mean, I would be injured when I would fall. I would wake up with scratches and like all beat up and my tongue bleeding and peed. So, I mean, who's going to pick that? But my parents, in their, blindness, they didn't know. They're like, oh, just shut up and go to sleep already, be quiet. Like, just don't annoy me with your crap, right? Like, it's not my problem. Just be good. Don't talk, mute, don't exist. So I was, I didn't know what it was. I had no help. Nobody would help me. I didn't know what was happening. And that went on for years. I would get, pushed, shoved. I thought it was The Exorcist. I thought it was a monster. Now in hindsight, I see it was dark energy or, a malevolent being. But at the time I didn't know. And for many, many years, I didn't know what it was. And so that, several paranormal experiences happened. There was a situation, a moment before my real awakening, where I was discovering my abilities. I had always had psychic impressions where I would get visions of things that then would happen. I would hear people saying things, and then later it would happen, like a little movie, like a preview. I would hear voices. Sometimes the voices, I couldn't tell what they were saying. I just would hear them, or I'd be asleep and I would hear, "Mom!" And it would be a little boy. And I would think it was my son. But the voice sounded like babyer, younger than my son actually is. My son's 12. So that was confusing. I just assumed it was him, but it wasn't him. It was someone else. It was another, spirit or being trying to contact me. I've heard voices of people saying my name, and I wake up, and I mean, I sleep with earplugs because I'm very sensitive to sound, to light, to frequency, to anything. Everything's just like overload. So I started seeing these big orbs, like a big fish bowl size. It was like goldish white, just floating in the sky, in the bushes, just like it would follow me. And I'm thinking, what the heck is that? Because I mean, I had never had like an alien encounter or anything like that tangible to relate it to. And so I didn't know if it was my mind playing tricks on me, or if I was maybe seeing the reflection of something. I was trying to, justify it and like really rob myself of the magic, talk myself out of the magic, because I couldn't come to grips with what I was seeing. So I started seeing that on my way to work. And then I started seeing, I had a weird experience where I was at a stop sign in my neighborhood, and I could have sworn I was in uniform. I was going to work, and I was about to approach the stop sign. It was dark. It was like 5 o'clock in the morning, and everything was really dark because it was wintertime. And I saw a child in the road, like a little child. And I'm a mother. So I remember thinking, oh my God, there's a baby out there. It looked like a 1-year-old or a 2-year-old, like little, short. And I'm thinking, oh, I have to stop my car. Like maybe the mom crashed or something. Like what's going on? Because it was 5 o'clock in the morning. You're not going to think an unattended toddler is going to be in the road, in the country road, you know, out alone, unsupervised. So I panicked, and it was cold out. So I remember thinking, where can I pull over, like, to see if the kid's okay? And as I get upon the kid, it turns into an owl before my eyes. Okay. So like I'm guessing it wanted me to get out of the car, because that's what I was gonna do. Like the I'll save you, thing kicked in. And I was planning on getting out of my car and going to help this child, or to ascertain what is going on. So it changed in front of my eyes into, nope, it's not a kid, it's an owl. And that freaking thing was huge. It was like 3 feet tall. It was a giant owl. And I got so creeped out because my headlights shone on his eyes. And that creeped me out because it had the freakiest, scariest look in his face. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not getting out of the car. I'm staying in my car. And I'm like, I zipped out of there. I got out of there quick. And I just got this like chilled feeling down my spine. Like, girl, you could have gotten abducted, or, something was really like, could have gone dicey. And I avoided it by like a hair. So that happened. And then I started seeing a blue sparkle right, hovering to my right. It looks like the way a Christmas light looks, like just being like, a shine, like a permanent shine or a permanent glow, but it's bright blue, royal blue, and it would just hover the size of a Christmas light, like a little tiny light. And I started seeing a white one. So sometimes they would be together, just hovering. It could be daytime, it could be nighttime. I could be in my car, at the store. I would see them on people's faces, at work, anywhere. If I was wearing sunglasses, I could see them just as bright. If I wasn't, I could. It didn't matter. I remember trying to see, is there like a rhyme or reason, like a pattern why I'm seeing them? But I never discovered the pattern. But in hindsight, I realized they showed up before, the shit hit the fan, because I didn't know what was going to happen, but I feel like my troops were rallying around me. Like, you need us. We're showing up because something big is about to happen to you. I didn't know at the time what it was. So those sparkles started showing up. And then I started noticing angel numbers, which before, being in 3D when you're asleep, all this crap happens around and you're like oblivious. Things, nothing catches your eye. You're always just in the rat race, go, go, go. Consume, sleep, that's it. And so I started feeling a yank, like a pull to numbers. And all of a sudden, it's as if they were like, look at me. And I felt like this pull, an energetic pull, like you have to look at me. And it wouldn't be your typical 444, 1111. I did see those too, but they were other just random combinations, like the number 35 in like a billboard would stick out really bright to me, or the number 911. And that was my job. So I thought, well, that number surrounds me. So maybe I'm seeing it because of my job, but something in me told me, look it up. So I started Googling, what does 35 mean? What does 911 mean? And whatever combination would show up, even if it was something that, I was just beginning. So I really didn't know about angel numbers. I didn't know about 1111 and 444 and all 222 and all that. I didn't know about those. I was just discovering it. But all I was doing was following my instinct and my own guidance of, check it out. What is that? Curiosity, intrigue. So I started following the cookie crumbs. And so when that happened, I also started, and I started noticing a pattern of how, like, I got the visual of like the angels cyber chatting with me through me seeing it in my reality, and then me looking it up, and that's how the message was being relayed to me. And I started noticing it would get faster and faster and faster and more and more and more. And the more I looked, the more they gave me. The more I looked, the more they gave me. And that's all they wanted, was to establish that connection. And then they're like, okay, now we can guide you, because now you're meeting us halfway. You're pushing the momentum, the energy. So now we're going to give you more. So I started noticing that rapidly picking up. And that was really interesting. I didn't know what was happening, but I'm like, okay. Like, I would read the message, and it's like, we're holding your hand through a really like significant event in your life, but we're standing by you. And I remember those being the messages, and me thinking, it's a regular Tuesday. Tomorrow's payday, or things like that. Like, nothing happened. I've been getting this message for weeks, months, days. Everything seems the same. And so I kind of like, okay, you're telling me this, but the reality isn't matching, the message. So I was really perplexed. Like, like, it didn't make sense to me. I was meeting the energy halfway, but it hadn't manifested fully. So I guess they were warning me. They were like, oh, it's about to get scary. So that happened. Then I got started getting, and I was also discovering my abilities. Like, I didn't know I could do things, or I didn't know what some things were. Like, I had always done them, but I didn't know the label for it, or like that it was an ability. It was just something that I did, and I thought like it was normal, or that I didn't know was like special, or psychic or anything. I just thought that's just me. So something really creepy started happening to me the year before I woke up. I started getting visits by beings, and I couldn't see them with these eyes. I could see them with this, and it's more of a like a knowing. Like nobody has to tell you your name. You know your name. Like, oh, you're Wendy. No, I'm Sylvia. No, you're Wendy. No, I'm Sylvia. I promise you, I'm Sylvia. Like that knowing. So that's how it felt when I would see those entities. And I knew where they were in proximity to me in my bed. I knew where they were standing. I knew their width, their mass, their weight, their size. I knew all that, but I didn't know what they were. And I didn't know why they were with me when I'm trying to go to sleep. And it would always be when I was alone. They wouldn't come if my husband was in the bed with me. They wouldn't come if my kids were in bed with me. It was only when I was alone. And so I was like, why? I didn't understand why. And I had always thought or assumed that, oh, if it's like something dark or something malevolent, that I'm going to feel fear. But I never felt fear. So that confused me further, because then I thought, well, what if it's like ETs? What if they're curious? What if it's my guides? What if it's angels? I didn't know what it was. What if it's a ghost? So many possibilities. So I thought, well, I don't feel any fear. So maybe it's okay. Like, they're not bothering me. They're just standing there. So I have to go to work. So I better go to sleep. So I'd go to sleep, and they would just stand there. They would just watch. And I could tell when one would come in. I could tell when one would leave. So I always knew where they were in the room and how many and what they were doing. They were looking at me. And I mean, my eyes didn't have to be open for me to see them. That's how I knew it was through here, because I was trying to go to sleep. But it's like kind of like a detector. A detector picks up, whoop, there we go. Like the night goggle vision, it was kind of like that, like heat signature, energy signature. I was picking that up. So this went on for a year. So it initially began with them just observing me, and they would watch me, and they would communicate with each other, but I couldn't understand what they were saying. I knew that they were here for me, but I didn't know why. So I'm like, well, I don't have time to like sit up here and entertain you. I have to go to sleep because I have to go to work in the morning. And I mean, my job was really stressful. So I needed to be I needed to sleep to be fully functioning, because I mean, in that job, people are calling me on their worst days, you know, they need help. So I would just ignore it. And then it escalated. They began touching me. They began pushing me, yanking me, pinching me, scratching me, pulling my hair, poking my eyes, just like, and then I thought, well, are they curious? Maybe they're aliens and they're curious. And they're like, what is she? Like, what are you? You know, what does this do? And I, I mean, this is all assumptions because I didn't know. So it started to get really aggravating, really annoying, because it would wake me up out of a deep sleep. And it's like if somebody's messing with you and you want to go to bed and you're like, oh, leave me alone, stop, you know, and they wouldn't stop. And sometimes it would hurt, the pinch, the scratch, the push, and it would freak me out. So then it got to the point of it happening night after night whenever I was alone. So I started seeing, oh, well, they're not doing it when I have someone with me. So I began like, I wouldn't be able to sleep when I was alone. And I started feeling panicked and scared to go to bed. And I started thinking, I would want one of my kids, you're going to come lay down with me because I have to go to work in a few hours. So I need to take a nap. You're going to lay down with me, because I knew that those things were coming if I didn't have someone with me. So that's how I slept. And it was to the point where I was scared to go to sleep alone, because I knew what was going to happen, because it had become repetitive, a pattern. And there was nobody I could talk to about it. Who am I going to tell? Especially in that world, nobody. And I myself was like really questioning, like, what the hell am I seeing? Like, what's happening? And life went on like that for a while, and it was really hard and it was really bad. I hated it. And then it got to the point, the worst that it got was I woke up. I don't know if you've ever had sleep paralysis, but I woke up in my mind, like I knew I was awake. I knew I was asleep, or I was waking up, but I couldn't move. I couldn't open my eyes. I couldn't scream. I couldn't, nothing. I had no control of my physical vessel. And I was just like frozen. And I became panicked, like, what's going on? I can't move, you know? And I got that knot in my belly of like, uh-oh, this isn't good. And then they were there. They were all hovering on me. They were on the bed. They were all around me. And I heard drilling in my brain. And it sounded the way a jackhammer sounds when it's busting up the pavement, like that. And with the vibration, like loud. I could hear it. I could feel it. I could sense it. And everything in my body was freaking out, scared, panicked, and tears were just rolling down my face, because I didn't know what to do, and I knew it was bad. I knew I was being attacked. I knew whatever it was not good. It wasn't for me, because it was against my will. So all I could think to do was start praying. So I started praying. I started praying to God. I prayed to Jesus, and I prayed to Archangel Michael. The three of them, please help me. Like in my mind, just praying, praying, praying. As soon as I started praying, boom, it stopped. Everything stopped. It's like a release. I was allowed to move. I could move. I could get up. I could scream. I could talk. I could sob, whatever. And I had movement. I had freedom. And the drilling stopped, and they were gone. It was just like, poof, gone. And I'm thinking, what was that? And it never happened again. Okay. So all it took was prayer, calling higher forces, calling God, help me. It went away immediately. And I mean, I'm not trying to dump a religion on you, or I'm just relaying my experience. So that happened. Then a year, not even a full year, from January to December went by. December, I reported a death threat against a fellow officer. I was like really wondering, what do I do with this information? I didn't even know the guy. I don't know him. I don't benefit from from, reporting it. I don't benefit from not reporting it. Like either way, it was like a really difficult place to be in because of, the politics involved of who was saying it. But I felt compelled, like, okay, well, I don't know how this is going to work out. All I know is I can't not say it. I can't not report it. So I just went with my gut and I reported it. And that began like a big nightmare for me. It was the biggest blessing and the biggest nightmare so far. And I reported it, and I initially, when I was doing it, I really thought, I've been here for almost 20 years. I have seniority. I've trained a lot of these people. I grew up with these people, with these men, with these women. They were like family to me. So I felt really comfortable, really confident in, reporting, and I was doing the right thing. So I'm thinking, well, that's what we represent. We serve and protect. So that's what, I'm okay. And no, my life blew up. So I was accused of lying. I was accused of making it up. I was interrogated for hours, just like in the movies. Like the way they would interrogate a murderer, that's how I was interrogated. And I'm thinking, what? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm doing my job. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. I'm helping someone. I'm saving a life. I'm reporting something. That's what I'm supposed to do. Why am I being punished for doing the right thing? And I couldn't understand it. And I mean, these interrogations went on for hours. I wasn't allowed to leave. I was screamed at by two men bigger than me, screaming obscenities at me, telling me that I'm lying, that I'm making it up, all these false accusations. And I'm like, look, I don't care what you do with the information. Like, erase it if you want to. I'm just, I have to tell someone. So as long as someone knows, you do what you want with it. I don't care. Like, I have no vested interest in either scenario. But no, they were like on a witch hunt. No, they wanted me to give up and quit. And they wanted me to quit. They wanted me to resign. And I refused to resign because I thought, why am I going to resign? I didn't do anything. And so I was fired on the basis that I had my cell phone. So I'm thinking, that is ridiculous. Like, for a phone, like the punishment didn't match the crime. So it was a formality that they used just to get me out of there. And then, of course, bad mouthing me to every prospective employer so that I wouldn't get hired. It really felt like a vendetta. And I couldn't understand why. So later in QHHT, I discovered why. But so that led to my awakening, because that brought on the dark night of the soul, where what was true one moment is no longer true. Things revealed, masks falling off, beliefs being blown away. Like, nope, that's not true. You thought this, XYZ? No, that doesn't exist. What? Like everything. I lost friends that I had for decades. They weren't friends. Family members, stopped talking to me. People stopped talking to me. Like, just everybody dropping like flies. And I'm thinking, what is going on? And I thought, it's me. It's me. I'm repelling these people because I'm the common denominator. They, different places, different faces, different, everything. And they're all pointing at me like, so I'm thinking, it's me, there's something wrong. Like, I'm wrong. I'm broken. I'm whatever, So I was really coming to grips with that. Like, what is real? What is not real? What did I do? Like, should I have kept quiet? Like, was I wrong? Like really questioning everything because nothing was making sense anymore. And that really was shattering all kinds of illusions, all kinds of beliefs. I was seeing people for who they really were. And that was just like, oh my God. It was heartbreaking in every aspect because I always assumed everybody's like me. Everybody's at the same level, at the same integrity, same honor, same moral, same value. No, nope. And it's like life was saying, nope, this is a lie, this is a lie, this is a lie, this is a lie. And I'm like, what's left? Not a lot. So that was a lot to wrap my head around. And it was just coming full force, full force. Here's another one, here's another one. And that was just so overwhelming. And so I was going through that, getting fired, financial struggles, struggling in my marriage, struggling with family, struggling with how am I gonna, pay for stuff? Like how, who am I? Like without that label, without that job, who am I? What do I really want? Who, what do I value? What do I think? What do I believe? What do I want? So that all just like a lot, all that. So honestly, I didn't really leave the dark night of the soul till for me, it lasted 2 years. So from the end of 2015 all the way to the end of 2017, and I did not start to see a light at the end of the tunnel until 2018. End of 2017, beginning of 2018. Oh man, it was so dark, dark, dark. There was a lot of times where I wanted to give up, a lot of times, and something in me always went to God, and I would call God, help me, please, and God would show up. Not in the way that I wanted or thought it would happen. It was always in the way that I needed. So, the saying goes, God gives you what you need, not what you want. So sometimes you get what you want, but a lot of times it's what you need. So you tend to think, oh, God didn't show up. Well, yeah, but it's not how you thought or you want. So that was happening. So at the same time, when I'm getting fired, all that's going on, was the same time that I started seeing a bright red cardinal. He would show up in my window if I was in my bedroom, if I was in the living room. I mean, this bird would fly into the window, and I thought that he was like gonna get hurt. And I'm thinking like, wow, you really want me to look at you? And when I was out, it would drive next to my car, would land on my car. It would, and I mean, I live in Arizona, and like there's cardinals everywhere, but I had never noticed them before. All of a sudden, it's like, whoa, everything's in color. Like when Dorothy comes out into Oz, and everything's like, bright, I could see. And all of a sudden, this creature is making contact with me. And it would be not only in the waking state, it would be in the sleeping state. This bird would show up in every dream numerous times. And I'm thinking, okay, what? Why? Like, I don't understand why I'm seeing this bird. So, but every time I would see the bird, it would feel like a gift, like a miracle, like God was connecting with me. So I knew it was important. I just couldn't make out why, what the magnitude or what the message or, what it was. So I discovered at the same time, a video popped up because at the time that I was going through all that crap, I was really diving deep into spirituality and trying to figure out what the hell is going on. So I taught myself astrology. So I would watch videos, and in the feed, they show, suggestions of stuff to watch. So I discovered Dolores Cannon and Julia Cannon, and they were talking about the new earth. And I felt such a kinship, such a connection, like, yes, yes, yes. Everything they were saying was like lighting me up. Every cell in my body was like, yes. And I didn't understand, why does this feel like truth to me? Because, truth has a feeling, it has a vibration, and it's undeniable. If you know, you just know. You don't know how you just know, right? So I knew, like, yes, this is real. This is true. So I didn't know how or why. And I fell in love with Dolores Cannon and her work, and I wanted to know more and more and more and more. And I was just like really gobbling up everything I could find about her and about QHHT, quantum healing hypnosis technique, and everything, just like so fascinating and like really called to it. And so I remember feeling like compelled to pursue that. And then I look up the price and whoa, I thought, okay, if I was working, I could afford it, but I just got fired. How is this? So my dreams were crushed. I was shattered because I thought this felt like I was going the right way. And then boom, I fall. No, I can't afford it. So I remember just stopping. I stopped watching all of it. Nope. Okay. That's not for me. You know, block, uh, dead end, or so I thought. So I gave up on it for like a month or a few months. And then it popped back up and I felt called to it, like, come here. And so I went back to it. And then I thought, okay, I'm really like in love with this. So if this is meant for me, God, please, give me a way. Like, show me, tell me, guide me. So I left it in God's hands. Okay, if it's meant for me, it will circle back around some way, somehow. It's going to happen, right? If it's meant. So I let it go. And I was feeling really down. And I reached out to this beautiful woman, Kat Kinney. She does cosmic numerology. And she gifted me for my birthday a birthday reading. And I felt so honored that she was being so kind to me. Because when you're in that dark night of the soul and you're just seeing the ugliest parts of humanity, when someone is kind to you, it is so huge. You really value it at a core level. And this woman who didn't know me, didn't have to be nice to me. She was so kind to me. So in my lowest of lows, God bless her, she really helped me out and she gave me hope, which hope is such a gift. And I am really, that is my mission, to give others hope. The way she helped me, the way others have helped me, the way others uplifted and encouraged me and shined their light on me when I was in the dark, I am committed to doing the same for you. So that's what drives me. That feeling, I know what it feels like to be in the deepest of despairs, in the darkest of the dark, to feel like this is it. I'm done. It's over. There's nothing else. It's hopeless. And then to see this light, like, no, come this way. So she gave me a reading, and in the reading, Dolores Cannon shows up. Dolores Cannon says, I'm going to help you get a scholarship. I need you to contact my company and tell them your entire story with the red cardinals, the police thing, everything. All the, the ET stuff, all that. Tell them everything. Don't leave anything out. And I mean, I was really in disbelief, like, yeah, right. Like, that's embarrassing. I don't want to tell anybody. Like, I felt like a loser. I felt there was a lot of shame and guilt because I felt like I let my husband down. I let my kids down. I let myself down. So I was really beating myself up, and I'm thinking, like, I just want to hide. I just want to disappear into a hole. And I don't want, to tell anybody about my failure, because I was seeing it as a failure. And then as I pondered it and really integrated that information, I thought, you know what the hell? I'm going to email them. I don't know them. Like, this is probably bullshit, but like, I have nothing to lose. Like, I've already lost a lot, so why not? So I sent the email, really long email, and I forgot about it. I didn't hear anything for months. Then I thought, oh, well, it's another obstacle, another dead end, but what's not meant for me, I let it go. Then a few months later, I get a letter saying that I've been awarded a scholarship. And I thought, wow, miracle. You cannot deny that. Come on. So, but there was a caveat. You have to pay a fee. And I'm thinking, how am I going to pay this fee? I don't have an income. We're barely scraping by. How I can't justify that price, as low as it was, for something like this that I was taking a huge leap of faith on, because honestly, I was still questioning, is this real? Is this not real? Am I crazy? Is this, like what? So I felt shattered. I was angry. I thought, God, why would you do that to me? Why would you say here, and then nope, you can't have it. And that's how it felt, like smacking, my hand away. So I thought, how cruel. Why would you show it to me and then take it away? So then I said, okay, if it's meant for me, if I am meant to do this, bring me away. It's going to happen, because show me, bring me the means to make this happen. I'm willing to show up. Now you show up for me. So I just let that go. I'm crying to my sister one night on the phone, telling her like, oh, well, I got this, but then this happened. And she's telling me, oh, just get your mind off of it. Don't think about it. Distract yourself. Like, clean, be productive. Go clean out the garage. Get rid of all the old crap that you have in there. Look, you should download this app because you can sell old stuff like the kids' toys that they don't play with anymore, and you can make some money off of it. And I thought, oh, okay, like, yeah, I'm going to distract myself. And, kind of like not believing, but going through the motions. And I still hadn't pieced how that would link to that. So I decided, okay, I'm just going to distract myself by cleaning and, clearing out clutter and making space so that the universe can bring me, something new. So I started posting things. I made $500 in 2 weeks. And I had my money, more than enough for the fee, and I had just enough to pay some bills that we were behind on. And I thought, wow, what a miracle. Like, this is proof. I can't deny that. So I paid the fee. I waited for my training to begin because it was Mercury retrograde and I had taught myself astrology, and I didn't want anything to really corrupt this process that I had such a regard and respect for. I really wanted to stack all the chips in my favor. I wanted this to work. So I didn't want to make any mistakes. I was trading very carefully, very lightly. So I waited until Mercury was out of shadow, and then boom, full force, paid for the fee, started the training. And that was at the end of 2017 into 2018. And I mean, it's 2018, it's barely August. And like, it has gone like a freight train on full throttle. This thing has had a life of its own. Every session that I've had on myself, on others, the same thing comes up. You're meant to do this. You're meant to do this. You have to keep going. You have to keep going. You're going on the right path. You're doing the right thing. So confirmation, validation. So I think that a lot of times we question ourselves, we self-sabotage. You talk yourself out of the magic. You're like, oh, well, I'm making it up. It's bullshit. It's not, that's just me wishful thinking. No, it is guidance. Listen to the guidance. The more that you listen, the more you will receive. But it's kind of like, it's that line that you have to establish a clear connection, a clear channel, and focus your energy towards that, and you will receive more and more and more and more. Kind of like building a muscle. You build that muscle until it's strong, and okay, we're going to give you more now. We're going to give you more now. We're going to give you more, because you are working with the universe. You're not, blocking it or not listening. So the more you listen, the more you take a leap of faith, the more you trust, the more you surrender, the more you get. And that's what I've noticed, the big pattern. So now I'm receiving more information. I'm seeing more pictures. I'm having more prophetic dreams and being told information about other people in my life. And they're showing me things that I had never seen before. They're showing me how, what's coming, and like energy. And like my bullshit detector is very strong now. So when somebody lies, it's like, I feel it everywhere. And I get information like that just drops. And I don't know how I know it. I just know it. And it feels really strong. So that is what's guiding me. And so I'm really building that muscle of surrender and faith and okay, listening to the guidance. So I put off doing this video for a long time. God's been telling me for a while now, you have to post your story. You have to post your story. And I'm like, no. I'm like, well, I'll post her story and I'll post his story and their story, but not mine. Even though I've done interviews, I'm being God's asking me to stand up and like own what happened, and don't be ashamed. Use it as a vehicle to help others, to be of service, to show up for the collective, to say, look, this shitty thing happened to me. I survived. You can survive. Maybe yours isn't that bad. Maybe yours is, maybe you'll see like, oh man, that's really fucked up. Like she got through that. That gives me hope, you know, because we tend to be like that. As yucky as it sounds, like you see somebody else like, oh, well, at least my life isn't that bad, you know? So to put things in perspective, like you too can survive this. That was me then, but this is me now. And look at it, it's a very small window when you look back. I mean, it wasn't that long. Honestly, at the time, it felt forever. It felt like I'm never going to get out of here. But we are making constant little micro steps, even though it doesn't feel like it. You are elevating. You are elevating. And I'm going to do more videos on the visions that I'm getting and the dreams and the messages that are coming through. I've been purging a lot. So a lot of times, physically, energetically, emotionally, saving that energy for sessions. So if you would like a QHHT session with me or a BQH session, please reach out to me. I'd be honored to be a part of your journey. And I mean, I hope you continue to show up and we can do this together. And if I can help you in any way, I would be honored to help you. And if you would like to submit your story, if you would like to be part of one of these episodes, I feel like the more we stand up, the more we speak on what is happening to us, we not only encourage ourselves, we honor our soul, we honor our path, our journey, but we help lift someone else up. And like, you don't know who is gonna benefit from your story. You think, oh, my story's not important, nobody cares. That's not true. It counts. You count. You live that for a reason. So be a voice for others, and let's help each other. Let's uplift each other. And that is that's what drives me. That is my mission, to help somebody else. And I know how horrible and how hopeless it feels when you're in the thick of it, but you have the tools, you have the power, you have everything you need to supersede this, to transcend this. You can do it. We are doing it. Even though it feels you're not making any progress, you are making tons of progress. So sometimes you just need a reminder. You need a reminder like, oh, that's right. I'm pretty freaking cool. I'm pretty badass. I can do this, you know? So let me be that reminder for you, and you be that reminder for someone else. Pass it on, pay it forward. And we can do this together, and we'll knock this out together. I love you. Bye.